have Lo turn on the recorder. That way we can record this session. I want to let everyone know that the only person featured on the recording of our practice today is me. When it comes to the time of our meeting where we open up our space for community time, we turn off the recording. That way your presence here is kept confidential and we can feel more secure in sharing. And that's a gentle reminder for all of us here to recognize that we are a community endeavoring to cultivate a sense of trust and trustworthiness. There are many people who show up into this space and they're very vulnerable and fragile. And maybe some people are finding finally the courage and the fearlessness to be able to unburden their mind and heart with something really tender and serious. And so they are enacting an expression of trust in us to help hold that with them. So what you hear here is kept here. Here. We don't talk about it. We don't share it with others. We hold it here. And I know we know this, but again, I'm speaking to the heart. And so with that, let's begin. Let's begin our beautiful practice. Welcome one and all. And I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of the friends that you share your life with. That may include dogs and cats and fish and birds and lizards and plants and other humans. And they're all welcome to this practice. For the month of April, friends, we are exploring the fourth noble truth in Buddhism, which is that there is a way to understand the conditions of our misery, our discomfort, our suffering in such a way that we can alleviate it from our lives. Sometimes completely, sometimes just enough to bring a little bit of lightness, a little bit of harmony. And that way in traditional Buddhism is called the Noble Eightfold Path. And there are 8 concepts that sort of point the direction of the mind and the heart. And we are in the Spokane Sangha, we reimagine those 8 concepts, those 8 aspects as 8 qualities that we can cultivate in our own mind and being. And that's something that we're going to explore for the entire month. Yesterday, I introduced the first active word in what is this way? What is this path? And for me, it begins with a single step. And that single step has a word etched in it. And for me, that word is the word be, B-E. But today, I'd like to just pivot a little bit, just a little bit, from this word. And then I'm going to bring us back into a meditation, a reflection. And I'd like to begin by talking about the word be. And I'd like to put an additional word relevant to the journey of recovery right next to it. And that word is sober. Be sober. Okay? Sounds so easy, doesn't it? Sounds so simple. Be sober. It's just 2 words. Sober, S-O-B-E-R, 5 letters. Totally not an intimidating word. Totally no big deal. And here's the humbling part of that word. I think I know what it means. And I would like to bring forth the possibility that there's more to know, a lot more to know. And so let's bring forward be sober, but let's open up that idea to all kinds of possibilities. And let me show you how. All right, students, Everybody get your Roget's Thesaurus. Look at the size of this thing. All right? This is just filled with words. I love this book. This is a treasure of mine. Okay. Now, I looked up the word sober. The word sober has 18 other words associated with it. So there's sober, then there's sober truth, sober minded, sober, 18 times. Okay. Now, when I look at just the first word sober in my Roget's Thesaurus, that word has 16 different references to it. 16. When I go to the first reference, that word has 63 more synonyms. All of this to just stir the mind into a giant swirl of confusion intentionally. I am absolutely intending to create confusion. Because here's the word sober, I'm speaking it, but my hands are moving all over the place, so you can't really see my face. And that's the point. We think we know what it means. But if we take a minute to just pause and be with that word and be with the limiting nature of our own definitions, if we can just accept that, then we can be with the possibility that to be sober is to be a lot more than what we had originally thought or believed or were told. To be sober in the community of recovery is to be completely abstaining from substances, period. And there's a lot of talk about medically assisted treatments. And there's a lot of very stigmatizing energy around that. Well, if you're using another drug to get off a drug, then you're just trading one drug for another, so you're not really sober. Oh, very painful. Very painful. And it might actually be true. That is true. If you're taking a drug that has addictive qualities to help you get off this other drug that has addictive qualities, you're still using a drug. True. Not the whole truth. See where I'm going with that? That's why that instrument of peace is so impeccable. Because one of the things that we do when we're in a posture of being is we are so, let me just make this first person. I am so conditioned to react in dualistic terms. I'm being either this or I'm being either that. And the reality of me is way more complex. I can be this and this and this and this and this all the way to that. All these other things in between. So while I'm being this, and it's true, I can be all these other things as well. The practice of being is to open up to the possibilities that also exist and to really question your own mind, not in a defensive way. So, for example, when I think about medically assisted treatment, for example, and I listen to the attitude that says, well, if you're taking a drug to get off a drug, you're not really abstaining, you're not really sober. And I have a habit energy of getting really defensive about that and try to prove that that's wrong. No. We're doing this because blah, 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 blah. If I'm taking this medication and I'm functioning, that's way better. So I'm not actually still using. And now we've suddenly muddied the water. And instead, if I can say, that's true. I am using a substance to get off another substance. True. That is true. I am not being sober if sober only means no substances whatsoever. True. And I am not subscribing to that limited definition. That's the empowering piece. I don't have to, because there are 63 definitions, 63 synonyms of what it means to be sober in just one of 16 words. So I can open up the possibilities of how I can define what it means to be sober in my life. Thank you very much. And that's what I'd like to invite us to do as a community. That's certainly what I'd like to do for myself. I want to be the curator of my own path to recovery. And the truth is, I'm going to be, no matter what. No one can walk the steps of recovery on my journey but me. So whether I want to be the curator and creator, I'm going to be. So let's tighten the butt cheeks and let's get serious about it, right? Let's get strong about it and fearless. So here's what we're going to do. I don't really want you to tighten your butt cheeks. I want you to actually loosen them, soften them. So I want you to find a place to sit that feels really strong. I'm sitting in my computer chair that I hate. I must be connecting to my inner martyr. Why I don't change out these chairs is just such a mystery. It's a martyr mystery to me. But I don't. Here I am sitting in this computer chair that I can't stand, but it's bouncy. So in this minute, I kind of like it. I need a little bounce in my sit. My hands are resting on the desk in front of me. My eyes are closed, and I want to sit in a way where I'm at the edge of my chair. And I'm noticing in my posture that I'm leaning just a little bit forward. For me to sit straight up, spine nice and tall, I would look like this. But it doesn't feel comfortable in my body right now for some reason. And I feel a little bit more comfortable leaning forward. So take a moment to be with your body and honor your body's need to be in whatever posture your body wants to be. That could include lying down if you want to. It could include movement. You are the curator of your practice today. You are in charge. Be in charge of your posture. Take a deep breath. Turn your gaze inward now. And I want you to imagine standing on a stone, on a stepping stone, or maybe it's a sliced piece of wood. Maybe a tree was felled nearby and you've taken a saw to it and you've chopped little wafers of wood that you can turn into little stepping stones, but they're made out of wood, maybe something like that, whatever. And see if you can just imagine the word be, B-E, carved into it. So you're just standing on this solid piece, whatever it is, with the word be carved into it as a reminder. I'm just standing, being. And let's imagine just off to the right or to the left, it doesn't matter, just off a degree or two to a forward gaze is a little sign, maybe a little prayer flag or something that has the word sober in it. Be sober. And for a moment, just allow that phrasing to enter into your mind and heart. And maybe you're wrestling with the reality right now that you're not sober. And maybe you have all kinds of feelings about that, and that's okay. We can be fearless about that. Right now on your journey, you are not experiencing the definition of sobriety that you have been holding yourself to. That's the truth of your situation. There is a definition of what it means to be sober that you're holding yourself to, that you aren't able to quite yet. Okay, those are the conditions that we're working with. Maybe, however, within those conditions, can you extract an example in your day where you have been clear in your mindfulness? To be clear in mindfulness is to be sober. So let's say you woke up and you had a cup of coffee and there were no cravings. There was no regret. There was just this real moment of present time awareness. That is a sober moment. That is sober mindfulness. And it is part of what it means to be sober. Can you look at situations in your life where you've been avoiding something? Maybe even going into treatment, avoiding that option. And maybe you had an experience in your life where you hit a rock bottom and you woke up out of a stupor and you made a decision to go into treatment. That is a sober truth moment. That is part of being sober, what it means to be sober. That's another aspect of it. What I am endeavoring to illustrate, friends, is that when we stand on something solid with the invitation to be, the invitation is to include a gaze that has a broad, spacious view, that has the capacity to open to possibilities, so that whatever we're exploring, we're not limiting ourselves and by extension, not limiting others. So, for instance, I know that when my definitions are limited and I keep myself focused on black and white thinking, something is either this or it's that, and I need to be held to this thing because I definitely don't want to fall into that. And look at the judgments that's already erupting. This is good, that is bad. So if I hold myself in that kind of rigidity and that kind of strictness, anytime I even come close to that, I judge myself harshly and negatively. Furthermore, I do it to other people. I don't want to, and I don't always intend to with any kind of real consciousness, but it happens. A quick little ooh, or a ee, or a yay, why are they doing that? Yikes. All little judgments because I'm responding to something very dualistic. It's either this or it's that. And I am failing to see reality, which is infinitely more complex, much broader, full of possibilities that are both good and bad and neutral. And that's what the second noble truth is all about. Can you explore the conditions? Can you broaden your mind, broaden your heart to see and experience as many possibilities as you can? Not just the ones that have kept us so limited, so small. And I find one of the ways to do that is to get really still and be. Right now, how are you? How are you really? What are some qualities that define your being in this moment? Can you be open to qualities vying for your attention that are positive, negative, and neutral? Can you identify them? Just in a single word. What's coming alive for me in this moment, I feel in my being my capacity to be confident. That's quite a positive quality for me in this moment. I'm also seeing this quality in me to be avoidant. I'm avoiding some things. Connected to that is a little bit of aversion. These are qualities that I'm not particularly proud of, and they're alive in me. And they are wisdom keepers for me. I learn a lot from them. The neutral quality that's coming up for me, I love this quality, and it's ambivalence. And ambivalence for me, when I'm being ambivalent, it usually sounds like this. Eh, eh, mm, that's me in this moment. I can tap into my ability to be confident. I can see very clearly my ability to be avoidant, and I celebrate my capacity to be ambivalent. How about you? When you stand on your stone or your stepping wood of being, what is your capacity to be? What do you see? Can you let it be? And that's the invitation. Can I just let these qualities be? None of these things, good, bad, or negative, good, bad, or neutral, need to be in the driver's seat of my life. I can simply just observe them. I don't have to react to anything. To be is to notice, to observe, to let things be. And in doing so, I let myself be. And it's not just myself in the limited ways I think of myself. It's the whole of me, all of these qualities coming to be in me. And that, the wholeness of me, is what's in charge. So I'd like to end our practice today in this reflection by inviting you to put your hand on your heart. And this gentle mantra of loving kindness. I am more than I imagine myself to be. I am more than I imagine myself to be. And by extension, friends, when we gaze upon others, they too are more than anything we can imagine them to be. And I think we all benefit from imagining people in bright lights, people cultivating goodness and peace, people cultivating their Buddha nature, which is wise, compassionate, equanimous, joyful. Breathe that in, breathe that out. First step is to simply be. Thank you, friends. Just today with a dedication of merit. And a few announcements. So if you haven't signed up already, we're meeting tomorrow from 11 to 1, and we're meeting with a nutritionist who's going to be teaching us about our relationships to sugar. And if you have a mind and body anything like mine, you don't have the best relationship to sugar. There's room for improvement. So join us if you'd like to. And then Sunday morning, we're going to meet for Sati Seva at 11 o'clock in the morning from 11 to 12:30. And we're going to be talking about openness. So join us for that. And then we'll continue on next week exploring the fourth noble truth, how to be our whole selves, how to cultivate qualities that nurture the life that we really aspire to have, and by extension encourage others to inspire the conditions for their lives, and how they aspire to have a good, happy, joyful, settled life. Let's end, friends, with a dedication of merit. I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and just take this in. Take in the idea of ordering a giant thesaurus. And I'm actually 100% serious about it because there are so many opportunities in synonyms and antonyms to broaden our definitions of ourselves and by extension one another. And that is something the Buddhist practice does better than anything I have explored. Broaden the mind, open the mind. You are a precious human being, and you have been divinely imagined. How else can that be? In this existence, nearly 14 billion years ago, what we know about the universe is that it was hot and it was dense. And other than that, we don't know much. And yet, over those 14 billion year evolution, we have arrived to this moment. If that isn't something divine and sacred, I don't know what is. And you're here and I'm here, exactly as you are, exactly as I am. So, in that cosmic divinity, friends, be. Be fully who you are. Dare to be seen and heard as you are. Dare to see and hear others exactly as they are. Knowing, friends, this. I love these two mantras, and I'm going to put them together. You, me, all of us. We belong here because we are here. And being here means you have never been, nor shall you ever be, a mistake in the eyes of the divine. You have a precious human life. And to that sacredness, I bow deeply. Namaste.